All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Now, the situation of the country under the APC remains a tragedy, and there is no hope that fortunes will ever change. Anything you hear any member of Tinubu's cabinet say about positive development is just a joke. For Tinubu and his cronies, it's just fun and games. Yesterday, we got reports that Wike would always drive to Aso Rock to join the party after having his own fair share of alcohol at home, and that yesterday he was so drunk that he was denied access to Tinubu. Wike has since come out to debunk that information, but for us to even be having this sort of discussion alone shows that what APC chiefs do behind the scene will eventually see to the destruction of this country. No real work, just lies and propaganda. And one of the lies of the APC that always gets Nigerians into trouble is the lie that they are winning the war against Boko Haram. Anytime they tell this lie, Boko Haram will respond brutally. 4 days ago, Shettima made a public appearance, and while speaking, he claimed that the Tinubu administration had decimated insurgency. 3 days ago, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribado also came out to say that Tinubu was dealing with Boko Haram mercilessly. And yesterday, one of Tinubu's toys, Jimo Ibrahim, also said that Shettima and Tinubu had silenced Boko Haram. And now, Boko Haram has responded brutally to all their lies. Hours ago, Boko Haram had Shettima on the run when they attacked not a hamlet, not a village, but they attacked a military base in Shettima State, BORNO State, and they wreaked havoc. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, a shocking update came out of Aso Rock. If I'm to make a list of the top 5 most shocking reports from this Tinubu regime, this one would be in top 3. And Nigerians are yet to recover from the shock of that update from Aso Rock. Before I show you details of the update and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you these videos. The first video here is from the editor-in-chief, Daybreak newspaper. He weighed in on the war of words between the Tinubu regime and ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo, and he completely decimated Tinubu. See the video.
Who today in this country will say that the current administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing well? In whatever indices you use, this government has proven itself to be a failure, a total failure in all ramifications, whether in security, in economy, in social re-engineering. The government has proven to be a failure. So one would have expected that when a statesman like Obasanjo comes to the public forum and speak about what is wrong with Nigeria, which is a problem of leadership, they should listen. They should listen and say, okay, we've heard you, like Mojid said. We are taking measures to address the issues, not resort to say, oh, your government was the most corrupt, you spent 16 billion. At least Obasanjo was able to save 16 billion, and he spent 16 billion. But this current administration is plunging the country into an economic, at times what I see, their economic policies, I see it as an economic crime against the Nigerian people. And I hope someday in future, these people will be brought to book to answer for the economic crime they are committing against the citizens of this country. And as far as I'm concerned, their so-called reform, economic reform, amounts to economic vandalism. They vandalize the economy that nobody recognizes what is happening again. And unlike Mojid said, look, you say you are doing this, you are following World Bank reforms and all that, and you are re-engineering the economy. We are not seeing any re-engineering whatsoever. Even the IMF itself have come to denounce you and disown your economic reform, telling you to your face that it's not working.
In fact, Doc, we would have expected him to have even responded to that.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. We would have expected that a buyer on Anuga, we don't even, with Daniel Boala coming on stream, that we don't even know the portfolio he holds. with a diary that we cannot even define.
About 16 of them.
Based on the statement that came out yesterday evening, you don't even know. You see an administration, if you have 16 spokespersons to one president, and their designation is amorphous, you can't hold anybody to anything. You come to the conclusion that all they are concerned about is public perception, image management, image that we all know, we all see, that the image of the administration in terms of its impact on the economy is nothing to write home about. So going forward, I think this administration really needs to come down.
I mean,
come down from its high horse and
Indeed.
begin to address the core issue that besets Nigeria on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And perhaps tell Nigerians that they're actually listening to some of these criticisms.
Based on its own policy. It's not Obasanjo that floated the Naira. It's not Obasanjo that removed fuel subsidy.
You heard that. It is extremely foolish of Bayo Ononuga and the other thugs surrounding Tinubu to think that they and Tinubu put together can ever come close to achieving what ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo achieved. But we don't expect anything different from a group of individuals who have only come to steal, to kill, and to destroy Nigeria. The people must, as a matter of urgency, make up their minds to reject the APC or forget that they have a country. Next video here is from one of Tinubu's puppets. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, the man who ran down all the investments under him and then joined politics so that he can start stealing free money. Now claiming here that Tinubu cannot steal Nigeria's money, so Nigeria should take more loans. We should be taking more and more loans. We shouldn't worry. Imagine the nonsense that this man was vomiting. See the video.
So you have dollar there to defend your currency. So borrowing will drop the because you are breaking dollar in. You are not breaking naira.
For example, this $2 billion dollar if it's borrowed.
This is too insignificant.
So it will not
this is minute money.
So it will impact
on
this
is just launch money. What's the $2 billion?
Are you worried that the exchange rate that is on
wait, $2 billion to 250 million people to finance deficit budgets of a year that will end in 2024, ending in about less than 60 days? Good effort of government. If Nigeria will understand, we need to encourage the government to do more. Everybody's talking about borrowing. Why don't you talk about the fact that we can't find the impact of Boko Haram anymore? Is the security index not improving? If we didn't appropriate in the Senate to Boko Haram and to appropriate to Nigeria defense, under Lagbaja and the army and the navy, and those guys did a fantastic job. Now, do you see Boko Haram coming to Abuja as it was during the previous administration? Or do you see anybody today waking up to clear Odi or whatever you call it as a community? So quality of human life is really appreciated.
Senator Ibrahim,
except the fact that maybe you talk about hunger.
Senator Ibrahim, just for a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Borrowing in the past, and why Nigerians may be pessimistic, is the trust deficit in those who have handled those funds. Borrowed in this country, and those funds have landed in the pockets of individuals and enriching themselves and their families. How do you then think that Nigerians should then wake up one morning and think that the nation should be impoverished the more when some of this money goes into the pockets of individuals?
Let me help Nigeria in that regard because of future. I agree with you, and I'll come to that. But if you list 50 items to which you want to borrow 100 billion, and you bring it to National Assembly, we pass a law. Anyone who spends outside the item listed in this schedule shall face public execution. People will run away from stealing. Now, coming to your question, it is true, particularly the Buhari administration. Because if you look at current account balances before Buhari came in, that Jonathan handed over, was about $18 billion. But Buhari left it at a deficit of unknown numbers. So the Buhari administration was one good example of what you have cited, who left the economy in financial dangerous lane. Now we are back. The issue is that we cannot continue to share interminable inquests over the mistake of the past or borrowing money or not borrowing money. We need to concentrate. Now what the president is doing. Now, I can tell you one thing that is very clear about Tinubu administration. I'm not a spokesman. He will not steal Nigeria money. Straightforward. As he was governor for, he can never steal. I can sign for that. I can stand for that.
How can you vouch for him?
I can vouch for him.
Madman. If you listened carefully to him, you will agree with me that Jimoh Ibrahim is not well. He said Bat is not stealing Nigeria's money. Somebody that is stealing openly from us. You are sitting there saying he can't steal from Nigerians. Then he said a loan of $2.2 billion is insignificant. That $2.2 billion is just launch money. Meanwhile, that money is to be spent from now till December 31st. Too. Jimoh Ibrahim said it's not even enough. And that just further proves that this country is finished in the hands of these people. Now, let us look at those two updates that have become the major talking points in the Nigerian political media space. First is that attack by Boko Haram on BORNO State in response to Shettima's claim that they had decimated them. And next is that ridiculous update coming out of Aso Rock. Let's start by taking that attack on that military base in BORNO State in response to Shettima's claim. Look at how the papers reported it. Boko Haram terrorists attack Nigerian army base in BORNO, kill several soldiers, destroy gun truck, others, reporters. The Boko Haram / Islamic State West Africa Province ISWAP terrorists have killed 5 Nigerian soldiers, wounded 10 others, and left 4 missing during an attack on troops in Gubio local government area of BORNO State. The Director of Defense Media Operations at Nigeria's Defense Headquarters, Major General Edward Buba, confirmed the incident in a statement. The statement read, "The coordinated attack saw 5 killed in action soldiers, 10 wounded, and 4 missing in action, while troops eliminated several terrorists as well as recovered weapons," he said. Buba added that the terrorists also destroyed some equipment during the attack on the troops' location. Buba listed the equipment destroyed to include 1 gun truck, 3 TCVs, and an excavator. Buba said, however, it is pertinent to note that such an attack shall not deter the troops and armed forces of Nigeria from seeing the end of terrorism, insurgency, and other insecurity challenges facing the country. He noted that the armed forces remain committed to putting an end to all security challenges plaguing the nation. Meanwhile, the BORNO State governor has commiserated with the military over the death of soldiers in Kareto. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by the Emperor says, "I thought the military said they had defeated Boko Haram and rendered them powerless. Even Shettima said it. Now they are in his backyard and he's nowhere to be found." And Arizona here says, "A home of Shettima and probably nothing will happen. Boli is worth more than an average Nigerian's life. Soldiers die like chicken in terrorist hand." And Mercy here says, "Wait, let me understand something. The fact that Boko Haram now attacks military bases is the last straw because it shows their superiority and fearlessness. This isn't a good sign for the Nigerian army." And Mr. Black here says, "Yesterday, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim was on Politics Today saying the APC government already won the war against Boko Haram. Propaganda isn't propaganding anymore." And while at that shocking update dropped out of Aso Rock. We are in 2024, but Tinubu is already talking about how much he is going to spend on servicing loans between 2025 to 2027. He's not talking about the infrastructure. He's not talking about how things are going to improve. He's talking about the amount of money he's going to spend on servicing loans. How can you be making projections on how to make your country worse ahead? And if you see the amount that he quoted, you will shed tears. Look at how the papers reported it. Exclusive. Tinubu government plans to spend 50.2 trillion on Nigeria's debt servicing between 2025 and 2027, reporters. Nigeria is set to spend an alarming 50 trillion on debt servicing between 2025 and 2027, a review of the medium-term expenditure framework of the country has shown. According to the document, in 2025, the government plans to spend 15.3 trillion on debt servicing. It plans to spend 15.5 trillion in 2026 and another 19.4 trillion in 2027. In total, Bola Tinubu-led Nigerian government plans an expenditure of 50.2 trillion on debt servicing between the period. This development comes even as the government already spent 7.4 trillion on debt servicing between January and August 2024. Reporters had on Monday reported that while the government plans to spend 15.3 trillion on debt servicing in 2025, it only plans 16.4 trillion for its capital expenditure, which are meant for infrastructure development. In 2026, capital expenditure is expected to go up 15.9 trillion, while in 2027, the figure is estimated at 16.5 trillion. This means that in the next 3 years, the government plans 50.2 trillion for debt servicing and 48.8 trillion for capital expenditure. This would mean Nigeria plans to spend more on debt servicing than providing infrastructures in the next 3 years. Debt servicing is a resultant effect of heavy reliance on loans by the country to augment its faltering revenue. Debt servicing has been blamed for robbing the country of resources that could have been channeled for developmental purposes. Nigeria suffers from development challenges across key sectors such as health, water, education, among others. Now, they are so keen on debt servicing because this is their new method of embezzlement. It's not as traceable as other methods. Now, you go and make a bogus budget and then you go and collect loans that you want to fulfill those budgets and then you embezzle the loan. You check this budget, you see that one NEPA pole, they are fixing it, installing it with 100 million naira. They are sinking one borehole with 187 million naira. This is the kind of budget you are taking loans to finance. They say there is budget deficit. They will go out there and get big loans just for themselves. And Folaranmi here says, spending 50.2 trillion on debt servicing in just 2 years is alarming and unsustainable. This underscores the need for fiscal responsibility and transparency. The government must prioritize reducing wasteful spending, curbing corruption, and investing in economic growth. You don't know who you are talking to. You don't know these people that are there for themselves. You are talking about economic growth. Waiting concern them with economic growth. And this tweet here by Paradise Fall says, if people don't put aside their differences and bond together as a country, we are not coming out of this shithole anytime soon. I swear. I'm telling you, this is what I say here every day. Because it is the people that will suffer. 50.2 trillion going into individual pockets. What do you think that is going to do to the economy of this country, the treasury of this country? And this video by John Lucent says, this guy go cause greater damage than Buhari. He has already caused greater damage than Buhari. Totally worse than Buhari, clearly. And Oracle here says, believe me, it will go higher than this. Even IMF is baffled at our level of mismanagement. Of course, at the end of the day, they will spend more than this. Because the spending is not genuine. At the beginning, IMF was backing Tinubu's policies. But they came out to say that other parts of Africa that, began undergoing reforms, we are beginning to see fruits. But here in Nigeria, everything is backward. Inflation is still double digits. Local currency suffering tremendously. Why is it like this in Nigeria? The report was given right there in Lagos without bias. And of course, we know the reason why it is like that in Nigeria. It is because our own reforms are not sincere. Somebody that is talking about government not having enough money to subsidize energy. They don't have enough money to subsidize even education and health. But you are investing in frivolities, buying SUVs, Escalades. building multi-billion naira mansions for yourselves, and you say government does not have money. 15 trillion naira, the biggest contract ever awarded in the history of this country, was awarded without going through due process. Why? Because Sheyi Tinubu is a member of the company that got that contract. This is what Nigeria has been reduced to under the APC, and it is even going to get worse. And who are the people that will suffer? Nigerians, common men. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians, we have the number. The only reason why these guys seem as if they are more powerful than the people is because the people have separated themselves. They have divided themselves with these aboriginal bias sentiments that have not led us anywhere. The people better cast aside their sentiments, come together and wrestle their nation out of the hands of this evil association called the APC. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. We una go like. Why? Because now because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.